Ben McKee and Ryan Callahan of GoVols 24/7 here on campus at the start of week 3 of Tennessee football camp here with our No-Huddle on GoVols 24/7. And Ryan, as Tennessee got back to work after Saturday's scrimmage, roll call was pretty lengthy today. That is well documented in our practice observations up at the site. But the two main ones, Chris Brazzell, back at practice today. Well, he's been at practice, but first time we got to see him, and he was somewhat of a participant coming off of his weekend arrest, I might add. And then Ricky Gibson III getting back out there as well.
Yeah, big news for Tennessee to get those guys back out there. Obviously, they've been so shorthanded at wide receiver. Mike Matthews has been limited. You haven't had Braylon Staley out there lately. So to get a guy like Brazzell back is a big deal, and you need to start getting him ready for game week. Let's face it, less than 3 weeks away from the season opener. It's time to start getting into a rhythm and getting, knocking the rust off for any guys that have missed some time. So that's a big step for him, and kind of unexpected when we thought he'd be back around this time, but still good news. And then to see Ricky Gibson out there too. It's only been about a week or so, I think, since he sat out for the first time. So not a prolonged absence, and that's big too, because again, that secondary has dealt with a lot of losses throughout the offseason, from Jacoby Thomas leaving at the end of spring practice to dealing with Jermod McCoy being gone all offseason, Boot Carter's role being in flux. So a lot of changes there. You want to start seeing that starting secondary get back out there on a full-time basis. Even Colton Hood has been banged up lately, still in a red jersey. So to get Ricky Gibson back, definitely a welcome sight for that secondary.
Yeah, like I said, there were a lot of news and notes from roll call today during stretch, and all of that is posted in our observations, our practice observations, up on the site at GoVols 24/7. Speaking of the secondary, we spoke to Willie Martinez, the defensive backs coach, and several defensive backs as well. And it seems like my main takeaway from just listening to them speak was just the chemistry in the room. They've really prided themselves on that, and it seems to be a real tight-knit group right now.
It does, and that's impressive considering what they have dealt with at times throughout this year. And then they've got some flexible parts that I think have made it an easier offseason for them to navigate. Having guys like Caleb Beasley, who's been able to slide to safety, played the star position at times. Jalen McMurray now sliding inside, working a lot at the star position. So you've got some competitive guys, some experienced guys who know what they're doing, and they've been able to kind of handle multiple spots and slide into different roles as they've had to adapt to different changes. But it's a group that's sounds like a pretty confident group. Despite all that, you've got Idris Farouk, that's gonna be a first-time starter at safety. I think he's coming into his own nicely, and guys like him and Caleb Beasley, they're gonna play a lot of football for Tennessee, but I think they're ready for the challenge, and they certainly feel that way. So it's an impressive group, and to not even hear from a guy like Jermod McCoy today, you're kind of reminded how much talent there is on the back end of this defense. That Colton Hood's going to play a lot of football for Tennessee this year. It's an impressive group, and they're again, as they start to get them back working full time, and Jermod McCoy obviously still working his way back, but as they get them back, it's going to, I think, remind people how much ability there really is in the back end of this defense.
Yeah, Colton Hood said he takes pride in locking down the other team's best receiver, and in my head I'm thinking, okay, well then if you're doing that, what's Jermod McCoy and Ricky Gibson going to do, to your point about the talent in the secondary? And the other big takeaway from today, I think you just touched on all the versatility. I think Willie Martinez talked about versatility in every single one of his answers.
And he mentioned, that's why we recruited Jalen McMurray last year. He's showing why now. Colton Hood, same type of mentality when they got him out of the transfer portal. They like to recruit guys that can play essentially all 5 positions in the secondary. That's something that comes up a lot in recruiting. Not surprised that they've got some guys who have shown they can do that on this team, even guys they've gotten out of the transfer portal. But it pays off to have those types of players who can do that. And even a guy like Caleb Beasley, that I thought had a chance to play safety in high school, but still making that transition and doing it as smoothly as he has in one offseason, really impressive. As he talked about today, he's only played cornerback really since high school, and so to make that move and do it in one offseason and do it this well, because I've heard a lot of good things about him throughout the offseason. That's a pretty impressive transition to make and do it this well, because some guys don't play with the physicality you need at safety after playing corner for so long. So I think this is again a secondary that I think has more talent than people might realize, and I think it's well positioned to have a good year if everyone comes back and gets back to 100% like Jermod McCoy, the way they're capable of.
And it does sound like Jermod McCoy is doing extremely well within his process right now. Willie Martinez also had great things to say about Ricky Gibson and how he has improved his skill. His knowledge of the defense has always been terrific, but early in his career dropping passes that should have been intercepted, and he's really worked on high pointing the football, catching the football, those type of things. And of course, we have all of Willie Martinez's comments up at the site at GoVols247.com, along with all of our practice observations and much more coverage throughout this week as Tennessee gets into week 3 and we creep up on opening kickoff, which is 19 days away. He's Ryan Callahan. I'm Ben McKee.